points off the board? Are they extending drives for other teams? Those are the back-breaking penalties. Again, and you go back to it, when you only have 50-some plays in a game, those things are even more magnified.
Yeah, and there were a couple that the Saints got called on that did extend drives for the Patriots, so those are areas that they're definitely going to look at after this one. If you look at the playmakers for the Saints, Spencer Rattler goes 20 of 26, 227 yards, no touchdowns, but no interceptions. He didn't turn the ball over at all in this one. Chris Olave was, again, his primary target. Olave only 6 catches, had that big one for 53 yards to open the game up, ends up with 98 total yards, just couldn't quite get over that 100-yard mark. But what have you liked about their connection, and then maybe areas that you like to see them try to work through, because there were a few misconnections in this one.
Yeah, I see there's a plethora of receivers on this field for the Saints. I think it's a really good, one of the better wide receiver units in the league. And so there's only one football, and you have a hard time spreading that football around. But I think obviously taking advantage of Rashid's speed deep. 2 or 3, 4 shots deep a game to Rashid, I think will scare a lot of defenses and keep them back. If you can keep them back, now it really opens the underneath routes for Cooks and Bailey. And I think Chris is a really good underneath route runner as well. So I think it's about getting the defense off of you a little bit. I feel like the defenses are creeping up closer and closer, trying to smother the Saints. And I think you can take those shots. Now, sometimes you feel like it's a wasted down if you just chuck it down there and it's an incomplete pass. Now you're in 2nd and 10. Nobody wants to be in that. But I really think it'll open up the running game. It'll scare defenses a little bit into creeping down and pressing you so much at the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, there was a couple attempts at some bigger, more explosive plays. It just couldn't quite connect on them. There was one Chris Olave nearly had that would have been a touchdown. It was just outside of his fingertips. You could argue that he should have come down with that ball. How do you work on that? Is it a timing thing between Rattler and Olave that they're still trying to get on the same page with?
It's funny because everybody, there's timing in everything, really, except for the deep ball. And Bobby Hebert was up there in media row saying, listen, when I played, I just chucked it deep and thought my guy's got to go make a play. And that's really when you throw it deep on a deep ball,
you got to go run it down.
You got to go track it down.
Yeah.
It's up to you. It's you one-on-one with that DB. You go make the play. I'm trusting you to make the play. And that's really what it comes down to on a deep ball.
Yeah, Rashid Shaheed didn't get that involved in any of those deep balls today. There was a lot in general of the Saints, again, just slowly moving down the field, using that intermediary game quite often. Alvin Kamara got involved in the pass game. He was 5 of 5, so everything thrown his way ended up a catch. He had 45 yards receiving, so he's been a big factor in this pass game as well.
And Alvin is right there. I mean, every time this guy catches the ball, he's becoming among elite company. I mean, he's about to pass Roger Craig all time for receiving yards by a running back. So, 41's had a heck of a career.
Yeah.
And he continues to produce, and he continues to glide, and he doesn't look like he's in year 9. And you pair him with Kendra. And I know every week the Saints come into these games and they want to run the football and stay ahead of the chains. We haven't seen that enough to where, the Saints jump out to a 10 or 14-0 lead.
Yeah.
It's always kind of playing behind by 3 or 7 points, and now you're chasing teams a whole way. I'm excited about seeing this team jump out, get a little bit faster start, and now you can see this offensive line wear down some defensive line for other teams, but it just hasn't happened that way where we jumped out to a lead right away out of the gate.
Alvin had 10 carries for 31 rushing yards, but yeah, they just couldn't quite establish a run game because they were playing from behind almost as soon as this one got started. When you look at the offensive line, though, and their ability to finally play an entire game together with our starting offensive line. Cesar Ruiz back in the lineup. Kelvin Banks did go out for, I think it was 2 snaps, but then he came back in. Good to see that it wasn't anything that would keep him out of the game. I think people were very scared when they saw Kelvin Banks go down and get checked out.
I think a lot of people held their breath when they said, who's down? And 71, that's your 9th overall pick. You'd never want to see that, but to his credit, he jumped back in there, and he played really well.
Yeah.
I don't know what he had hurting, but he didn't look like he was lingering or any effects from it. So anytime you can have those offensive linemen, all 5 play together and have that communication build and that chemistry build, it's great. And you don't want to see those guys go down.
On the other side, we got somebody back on the defensive line in Chase Young, and he was out there for the first defensive snap. At times, you could see that the Patriots were chipping his way. They were double teaming him, but he didn't get what we're used to seeing from him, those pressures, no sacks. So how was he effective in this one?
Yeah, I think just like Taysom, they're working Chase back into it a little bit. Calf injuries are tricky. If you go out there and play too much and you start to wear down and you're not in game shape, now you restrain it, now you set yourself back for another month. Calf strains are a lot like turf toe, where it's just irritating, and that's a big body with a lot of force on it. So I think they had him on a pitch count and worked him back into it. And I'm excited to see how Chase evolves in this defense. It's a completely different thing than what he's ever done. He's been all of our defensive ends. Granderson, Cam, putting their hand down rushing is a way different world than standing up and rushing and dropping. So I think Chase is a big guy, but he has the ability to do it. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It just takes reps, and coming back from game one, giving that rotation and keeping guys fresh in the pass rush will only help this defense.
All right, well, let's send it to the podium and hear from head coach Kellen Moore after this one.
Plays than we did. I thought our play style, I thought our guys played fast, they played physical. At the end of the day, we didn't take advantage of opportunities that were presented to us. And every game's going to have those opportunities, and you got to take advantage of them. And so, they won the turnover ratio, they won some of the situational stuff, and that's how this game was decided. And we didn't make enough plays, and got to find a way for myself to coach better, to put ourselves in better situations, to be more successful as a football team, because there's too much good and not enough, in those little margins. And so, medically, I think we're okay. Nothing really drastic came out of the game, and so we just got to get better and keep moving.
What, in your perception, has sort of been the roadblock or series of roadblocks when it comes to offensive possessions beyond the 50-yard line? It feels like maybe the field condenses and then the scoring isn't necessarily there. What are you looking at?
Yeah, that's on me. Obviously, we're not doing a good enough job. We're extending some drives, and then we're not getting the ultimate points that we need out of those drives. And so whether it be settling for field goals in the red zone or getting stalled out just across the 50-yard line, we're not doing enough good stuff. And so, it seems like there's always a bunch of little things that come up, whether it be penalties, missed opportunities, finding a way to get that, because, I thought we moved it at a decent rate. We just didn't take advantage of the opportunities when they were presented.
What was the issue with the defense being able to guard Kayshawn Bowie, or even the deep passes in general against the Patriots?
Yeah, New England made plays. They had one-on-one opportunities, and they made plays. And, those are contested. Those are challenging situations. But, we got to find a way to come up with more of those on our end. And so, that's what this game's all about. It's one-on-one opportunities throughout these games, and we got to find a way to get it done.
This is the fourth consecutive game that the opponent scored touchdowns in their first two drives. Is that the start? Is that
It's obviously, we're not starting fast enough from a defense perspective, and we got to play better. We got to have a sense of urgency to get out there and get ready to roll. That's a couple weeks in a row in that scenario, and so that's not the formula we want, to be feeling like we're playing behind for a little while. And so, again, we got to take advantage of opportunities, and they come in all four quarters, and every moment is the same value from the first quarter all the way through the fourth quarter.
Colin, how frustrating is this? 4 to 5 losses, 3, 4, 5 plays, you could be having a better record.
Yeah, that's what this game is. It's the NFL. The margins are really, really small. They're really tight. They got good players. We got good players. And it's a matter of taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented. And so, we're not getting it done. We're not getting it done in those situations, and we have opportunities. And so, for myself, I got to figure out a way to get us there, because, we're close. We're knocking on the door, but we're not opening it. And so, I got to find a way to do better.
Olave had a few notable drops. Just what did you kind of make of those? And were they drops like usually that they were dropped?
Yeah. Obviously, we'll look at the film to evaluate all the detail of it. But we had some opportunities in the pass game, and so we didn't get it done. Those are challenging plays. I get it. And so we just got to find a way, collectively as a group, to come up with more successful opportunities.
What did you make of Spencer?
Thought Spencer had some good football out there. He used his legs again. Thought he got his completions, put ourselves in some situations. We got to finish a couple drives in the red zone. We have some third down ops we don't quite get. And then he had probably one turnover worthy play in the middle. Fortunately for us, it wasn't a turnover, and so we all have to keep getting better, because obviously we haven't met the standard yet. We're not there yet as a group. Specifically to your question, as an offense, we got to get better, and so we just got to put our head down and go.
How much to the alteration, or what appeared to be an alteration, in terms of the big screen and the direction when Blake was kicking, in terms of going to that kind of blank?
Yeah. There's just some. Yeah, I think it was just something that has occurred in the NFL, a number of other places, just to simplify the background.
What was your thought process? the last possession at the end of the first half with 30 seconds in your timeouts. Were y'all thinking that you wanted to run some plays?
Yeah. Obviously, if we can get some positives out of there, we'd love to. We got 3 timeouts. We can play that thing through a 4 or 5 play sequence. Got sacked and put us behind the chains there, and just let it bleed out at that point.
When a sack like that occurs, I mean, you still have your timeouts, but is it a situation where you just feel like with only, it'd be 15 seconds at that point? It's just
Yeah, it was obviously low. Yeah, you're down, with that sack and the extension of the play, we lost 1 extra down, so now we're kind of down a couple downs there.
How challenging was it playing Drake May? How good was he on the other side?
He did some really good things. I thought he extended plays. He used his feet in some really timely manners. He sits in there. I thought he played well. We weren't able to get to him. We weren't able to get to him, create the sacks, and create the the rush opportunities on him. We weren't able to impact him enough in the pocket.
Is this a game where having a young secondary really kind of highlights? Were there any miscommunications or anything that you?
We'll look at the film. There'll be obviously, I think, some great opportunities to grow from. They were able to make some explosive plays in the pass game, and so we just got to get better.
What went into Stetson kind of something in for?
Yeah, we just put him in there for a little bit just to get him going. Obviously he's a good player. He's done some good football, and I think it's important that he has some exposure to the league. Just as far as if you ever have to put him in there, he's played some football.
Similarly with Stallbird, was he a specific kind of third down focus? Was that his emphasis?
Stallbird.
Yeah.
He's obviously one of those guys. He's kind of had a package in various games the last few weeks, and so he's a good player, and he's earned those opportunities.
With Danny, especially if you're taking a guy like Mario off the field, what kind of goes into deciding when is the right time to get him those snaps?
Yeah, I think it's just trying to find a series that works best for us, and so somewhere in the middle of the game, we anticipated trying to create that opportunity, and I think it was good for Dan to get out there.
Kellen, when it comes to Spencer, where do you need to see him improve? Because you look at the stat sheets for most of the games, and he has a high completion percentage and not many turnovers, but it's not translating to wins.
Yeah, we just got to win in the margins, which is all the situational football. We got to convert in the red zone, convert in third downs. Those are the hard downs. Those are the tough downs, and we got to do a better job in those situations.
We talk about contested catches a lot on offense, but from a defensive perspective, is that an area that you feel like kind of got away from you guys today?
They made the plays. They made the plays in those contested situations. The receivers were physical. They went and attacked the football, and they made some plays when they had to.
When you talk about the margins, some of the fourth down decisions, the models out there say go on some of them. Do you have to start being more aggressive to capitalize on those margins? Is that?
Potentially, yeah. We got to calculate it in every possible way. We got to understand, there's the numbers, which we certainly are very cautious of, and then there's the element of making sure we got what we need to have an opportunity at the end of the game. And so, obviously I'll look into every little margin and see if I got to do better from being more aggressive or calling some more fourth downs.
How would you describe the mood in the locker room after this?
Yeah, just frustration. Obviously. There's opportunities. I think everyone can feel that. We had our opportunities in this game. We just didn't get it done.
What do you think of Groupie's day, just given some of the struggles to start the season?
I thought Blake kicked the ball really well. He gave us an opportunity. He was able to execute in the field goal game, and kickoff-wise, I thought there were some positives too.
How nice was it to see Taysom getting the end zone, given everything?
Yeah, awesome for Taysom. He's a phenomenal player, and for down that red zone, he's a really valuable piece.
What was the explanation you got on the Devon fumble?
It's really, you guys can ask replay assists or New York about all that stuff whenever their media obligations are. So, I think, we just were told there was some movement on the ball, and, that's all I get. So.
Thanks.
Yep.
Alrighty.
And so just point off of that one, just what's kind of your evaluation, just starting with the offense in terms of what worked, maybe what didn't in today's game?
Yeah, again, a game I thought we moved the ball really well, especially in the first half. had some big plays, had some great plays. Could have been a little better on third down. I think we're in third and long on a couple of those, but could have finished in the red zone a little more. A few plays here and there. It didn't feel like we played poorly. That's the thing. But few plays away. So we just got to figure a way to make those plays.
Spencer, how frustrating is this? 4 out of 5 losses. I mean, 3-4 plays. How frustrating is it?
Yeah, I mean it's tough, but it's football, especially at this level. It's you change a few plays and you win the game, but got to take advantage of opportunities and just got to make more plays than them. They had more plays than us. We gotta figure a way to make more than them.
Could you take us through like that? I mean, it was like a wheel route to Chris down in the end zone. Just the timing of that play.
Yeah, thought it was a well-executed play. It's a tough one. We worked out all week and felt great about it. It was the right look and, almost made the play.
You had a few drops. Do you know what do you say in that situation? What do you think kind of led to those?
I'm not worried about him. He's one of our best guys, our top guy, and we're going to keep getting him the ball. We rely on him, and our confidence is high in him.
Spencer, what's missing in the execution when it comes to getting in the red zone, especially on a drive like when you guys started the game, having that 50-yarder and then coming up short?
I believe we got down there, ran a keeper, then we're in second and 6, then we ran the ball. Didn't really get many yards. I think it was 3rd and 4. Had man coverage on 3rd and 4. Had the look. They brought safety pressure. That was hot. Had to get the ball out. They covered it well. And then we got a field goal, So it's just little plays like that, man. You just got to find a way to make them. And it's a collective thing for sure. And we know that.
Spencer, how would you describe the mood in the locker room right now?
Similar to these other games, we came up short in. It's like we're right there, playing against good teams, really good teams, and we're right there. So we're not happy about a loss, but we know we're a better team than our record says.
Does it get more frustrating when it's the 3rd or 4th time that you had a shot in the 4th quarter?
Yeah, it does. For sure. Got to figure out a way to finish in those 4th quarters, and it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that.
The last few weeks, there have been opening touchdowns on back-to-back drives in the opposing offense. What kind of goes through your mind when that happens? Like, do you feel like, all right, like we need to respond? Do you feel like what just kind of figures?
Yeah, if it has to be a shootout, it has to be that way. Defense is going out there playing hard. They're going to make plays. They had 2 good drives to start. Credit to their offense. They schemed up some good stuff. But we just got to respond. It's a tight game in that first half. I don't know what the score was coming out, but it was close. And going throughout the game, it was close. So got to figure out a way to score 6 instead of 3 and just keep it rolling from there.
Hey, Spencer, this is y'all's 3rd game, losing by 7 points or less. How frustrating is that just going out?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we know we're a better team than our record says. But we have to find a way to win these games that are one-score games. We have opportunities, and it's a collective thing, and we just got to work on it and execute it in game.
The opening pass, 50-plus to Chris Olave, coming out of the gate with that kind of play, just what are your thoughts on that in terms of trying to kind of have that big player up?
Yeah, I mean, we knew we were going to call that play the last few days, and they actually brought an unscouted look, blitzed the corner, and had the safety on Chris, and just created a little time and put it out there for him. After that play, we were like, damn, we're going to roll now. Let's roll. And you hate to end up with 3 on that drive. That should for sure be a touchdown. So, got to figure out a way, no matter what it is, to get 7 points on the board, especially after a big play like that.
Did you get a chance at all to watch Drake May I don't know if you're looking at what you're going to do next or seeing what they do. What were your impressions of his day?
I mean, he's a good quarterback. He has a great feel for the pocket, can use his legs, can see the field well. Had some nice plays designed today, had some open stuff, and he hit it. Simple as that. They executed. executed more than us. So he had a good day. Receivers made some great plays, and they, had a good game plan, and they just made more plays than us.
You know, to be part of the same draft class as him and to have it go down the line, do you feel like you're proving anything to your people about your performance?
Sure. I want to put my best foot forward every game, every chance I can. I don't want to go out there and, look bad. I want to go out there and be sharp, play clean, make some plays, keep us in the game, and ultimately win the game. So, again, it's a team thing. But we got a lot of playmakers on this team. We got a lot of great players, and like I said earlier, we're better than what our record's saying right now. And we got to figure out a way to finish these games out.
You set a new career high again this week for yards per attempt for the ball correctly. What has worked over the course of the past couple of weeks to just allow y'all to kind of open things up and maybe take some more shots?
Mm-hmm. I think just the confidence in our group. We got playmakers, seeing the field well right now. We're getting in, I feel like, good calls. And, they didn't do much to stop us early on. We were moving the ball really well, throwing the ball. I thought we could have ran the ball better today. But, however the game's got to be won, that's however it's got to happen. So we got to figure out a way to execute. If we're throwing it, if we're running it, third down, red zone, you name it. So, again, it's a group thing, and we got to clean it up.
Thanks, Spencer.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Spencer.
All right, let's go.
Justin, what do you think kind of led to the slow starts the last 2 weeks with driving touchdowns back to back?
Yeah, I mean, it's been 4 weeks in a row that it's happened. At this point, it's become unacceptable. I don't think that it's scheme. I don't. I think it's execution of the scheme. And I think that in the first two series of the games, the past couple weeks, there's just been too many mental mistakes. You know what I mean? It hasn't been a scheme thing, an execution thing. It's just been mental mistakes, and they're getting exposed out there on the field, and it's taking us 2 drives before we settle down and then start executing. And then once we execute, the product's a lot better. But we can't keep starting every game giving up 14 points before the first quarter's over with.
Speaking of that, what happened on that first touchdown along with the Mario Douglas when he came all the way across the field?
Just a failure in communication. Things that we can just get better at, and things that we will have to get better at.
And just how frustrating are the close losses in the third one less than the touchdown? How frustrating is that?
Yeah, we don't live in a league that we get moral victories for being close. No, that isn't what the NFL is. The NFL it's not about points, it's about W's and L's, right? And we only have 1 W so far. So it is a bit frustrating. Every man in the building knows what it takes to win. We just got to go out there and execute better. I see myself as a leader, and I won't let this start breaking the team down, though. We're not going to allow this to turn into something we're going to start pointing fingers at each other. And I know that, the internet and everything is going to be one to tear us apart. But the most important thing is that the team stays as a team on the inside of the building. That's what I'm going to continue to push, because as long as we stick together, we'll always have a chance. And I think that if we eliminate the mistakes, we have a chance against anybody, seriously. But we don't stand a chance if we're shooting ourselves in the foot, right? So there's just too many mistakes across the board. If we clean those up, we can play a lot better ball than what we did today.
How do you go about keeping the team together? What's the method of doing that? Just talking to the guys?
Yeah. First of all, every play that was a quote-unquote bad play is all 11 guys' fault. Every one of them. It's not pointing the finger at one guy here or one guy there, because there isn't any one of us that played a perfect game today, right? So it's just about cleaning it up, and it's like, hey, as long as we look out for each other, we have each other's back, we communicate better, we slow the game down faster, right? We don't take 2 drives to slow the game down and start executing. We start executing from the jump. We're gonna have a better shot.
What was the challenge Drake made today?
Drake is he's a consistent guy. I mean, Coach Vrabel over there does a great job. You could tell that they're well coached. It's a fundamental game plan. They didn't do a whole lot. It's about fundamentals, eye control, and disciplining gap integrity. And I think that he managed the game well. They just had some long drives there, ate up a lot of clock, and then a couple of times in the game he made plays with his feet when he needed to. But for the most part, he stayed calm and collected. So I think he did a good job.
To the point of keeping the team together, it's been a big story this week about Alvin doubling down on his desire to be here. Just for a roster with so many young guys, how important is that when you have the veteran guys who certainly earn the respect they had outside of the situation, for them to still want to be.
Yeah, your veterans set the culture of the team, right? And that's one thing that I do think that we have right. Our veterans here set the culture of the team the right way. We just got to execute better. So Alvin, the way that he carries himself as a leader, especially through his play, I think that Spence has been doing more than enough. There's things that we can all do to get better, but I thought our offense played well and kept us in the game, especially in the first half. They did a lot to help us out defensively. But as long as your leaders stick together and your leaders remain tight and it doesn't turn toxic or the locker room starts falling apart, right? Because we've all seen those teams. I've been on teams like that before in my career. So you don't let it get to that point. There's always time to turn it around. We haven't played a single divisional game yet, right? So everything that we want going to the playoffs and beyond, everything that we want is still in front of us, right? So we're going to continue to attack that and execute it.
Justin, what was it about the matchup against K-Sean that was troublesome today?
I think that he's just a talented kid. We knew coming into the game that he wins a lot of 50-50 balls. That's how they view him. It's like, hey, if we want to take a 50-50 shot, the ball's going to go to number 9. And, you know, he won a couple of them. And, yeah, that's what happened. Cool. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
That's it.
That was head coach Kellen Moore, quarterback Spencer Rattler, and safety Justin Reed talking after the 25-19 loss to the Patriots. It was a tough game because you thought you had a chance coming into this one. It started with that big explosive play. You felt like, all right, the Saints are going to do this. Groupie makes a couple field goals. Unfortunately, does not fall in the Saints' favor. I think, as all of the players said, it comes down to a couple mistakes, a couple plays that they didn't make, whether it was tackles, a 50-50 ball that didn't come out in our favor. Yeah. Looking at this game overall, what are some things or the main things that you think they need to address before we go to that game in Chicago?
Well, I think obviously you hear the frustration because after the success last week, everybody wanted to carry over this week and stack wins. And that's how you really get the momentum going. So you feel like you took a step back because you didn't get the W this week. I think for this team, and you look around the NFL right now, there's almost like this pandemic of conservatism. When you look at the box score, a 300-yard passer is rare in this league anymore. And I know it's because coaches preach turnovers. And you see all these offenses playing extra conservative. Just don't turn the football over, make everybody else make a mistake. And there is truth to that. But you also need to unleash it a little bit. And I think this team, the Saints, they're getting closer to getting that philosophy. 50 plays on offense isn't enough because you have to play perfect football. And even when you do play almost perfect football, the Saints played really good today, but you just don't have enough opportunities to score. And so I think being more aggressive offensively, speeding up the tempo, getting up to the line of scrimmage, changing the pace of the game a little bit would really benefit them. Coach Moore is one of the best offensive minds in the league. He can definitely do that. He did it with the Eagles last year. So I think getting a little more up-tempo on offense and then defensively, bringing a little bit more heat, disguising some things, getting a little more exotic with your looks on defense, and speeding up the other opposing offenses and the quarterback's timing.
The Saints didn't have a sack until late in the game. It came by Pete Werner on Drake May. Game was 25-19 at that time. The Saints got the ball back. Juwan Johnson ends up with a fumble. It got called a reception, and then they overturned it to a fumble. They said the ball was moving a little bit there. That was a tough moment because the Saints did have an opportunity to go down there, score, and possibly take the lead and the win.
Yeah, just another one of those moments in the game that it's just about making the play when you have to make it. And who knows, 50% of the time, maybe an official or a group says that's not a fumble. So it's really up to them and what they see at that moment. They saw the defender punch the ball, so you assume when you punch a ball, it's got to be moving before he hits the ground. I think that's why they ruled it a fumble. You can make that case for it. But like you said, everything we've talked about and everything we say that need to change, our entire narrative would be different. Go down and score on that drive and win the game. But there's still there's certain things that this team knows, and the leadership is there. You listen to Spencer talk, you listen to Eric. I mean, there's a reason he was brought into this locker room. They don't want to let the locker room fracture, and you give yourself a chance to win every single week. It's early in the season, you haven't won enough games, but I think the leadership is there to keep the group tight and to give them a chance to win every week.
Well, next one up is at Chicago. The Bears are 2-2 right now. They do play Monday night against Washington, so we're going to have to wait a little bit to see the outcome of that game, but it's going to be a shorter week then for Chicago because they are at Washington, so they'll have a little bit of travel added in there as well. Hopefully that bodes in the Saints' favor. Obviously, they will be the ones on the road, though, next weekend. And, there's a little interesting wrinkle to this one, as we'll see our former head coach, Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator there in Chicago. Looking at the Bears, what they do well, what the Saints have been doing, what needs to happen in that game for the Saints to come out successful?
Well, that game's going to be intriguing. I think, obviously, for the biggest reason, former head coach Dennis Allen is the defense coordinator. He's going to bring a ton of pressure, I'm sure, and try to get after the offense. Coach Moore will know that. But I'm excited to see the offensive matchup between Coach Moore and Ben Johnson. Two of the better minds in the NFL, getting exotic with some of the plays, some of the personnel groups.